Let's go over Star Wars Episode 9 and JJ Abrams when it comes to the final film of the Skywalker saga. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, as you all know, a couple of days ago, we got a huge surprise involving Episode 9, that Carrie Fisher would be reprising her role as General Leia, by JJ Abrams using unused footage from The Force Awakens and implementing this into the final film of the sequel trilogy. Now, the thing here is this. We also know that Billy Dee Williams is officially back as Lando Calrissian ever since Return of the Jedi, which is something that I personally am very excited to see on screen as to exactly what role he will have and how significant of a character he really will be. What will his actual purpose in this overall storyline will actually be. Now, the thing here is this. If you look at the history of the sequel trilogy, we've seen all of these different legacy characters returning and getting killed off one by one. Now, we do have, of course, Han Solo as a big example, and Luke Skywalker, and even the more minor characters that are still legacy characters because they are from the original trilogy. We even have, of course, Admiral Akbar, who died on board of the Radish ship, which I felt like was I feel like it was just out of place because we didn't actually get to see his death. And I don't know, it just kind of felt odd where they just announced his death and we didn't see it really happen on screen. And I think that looking at what happened with Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, etc., we're seeing all of these deaths. It's a huge pattern in the sequel trilogy. And now a lot of people are looking at both Lando and Leia as the next ones in line for getting killed off in the Star Wars franchise. And the reason is because of this. We've seen this history of all the different actors and actresses and directors and writers talking about the sequel trilogy and how it's time to move on. It's time to let go of the heroic characters that you all grew up with from the original trilogy and move on to the new characters. Now, I fully understand about moving on to new characters and focusing on them. However, I feel if Disney and Lucasfilm are bringing back legacy characters, I really feel like that they do indeed deserve kind of like special scenes and special attention in the movie. And I think that that is one thing that, a lot of people were upset about with The Last Jedi is Luke Skywalker didn't really get all that much action in The Last Jedi. Now, the biggest fear right now for Episode 9 is the death of Leia and Lando by JJ Abrams in Episode 9. And if they do die in this movie, exactly how well executed would it really be for Episode 9? What will JJ Abrams do on screen to kill these two characters off? And would this be a respectful thing to do? In my eyes, these two characters should live on. These should be the two survivors of the legacy characters. The big four legacy characters are, of course, Han Solo, Luke, Lando, and Leia. I feel like at least half of them should live on and walk into the sunset type of ending. I think that Leia should just part ways and do her own thing with the new rebellion or whatever the new organization's going to be in Episode 9, and then Lando Calrissian can maybe take over the Millennium Falcon and venture off with Chewbacca and Nien Nunb to another planet. That's how it should be. However, my gut feeling is telling me that the death of at least one of the legacy characters that are returning are upon us, whether it's going to be Lando Calrissian or Leia, or perhaps even both. This could also even include the droids and Chewbacca. After all, Episode 9 is serving as the end of the end. It's serving as a mega event for Disney and Lucasfilm, and by making it a mega event, it is indeed the movie that will serve as the end of the end. And as John Boyega said, it's going to be the end of all wars and an all-out war. We're going to expect a lot of sacrifices here, and this could very well include a lot of the main characters. So to me, I feel like it would be a little repetitive in the sequel trilogy if you have the death of Han, the death of Luke, and the death of Luke and, Leia, Lando Calrissian, all of them just dying one after one. I just feel like it's a little too repetitive. Now, a lot of directors and writers will point to the comparison between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, how characters from the prequels were killed off in the original trilogy. However, there's a huge difference there because the original trilogy was actually developed well before the prequels, so their deaths were already set in stone, if you follow, right? If you look at the prequels, Anakin, Obi-Wan, you name it, we all knew that their deaths were pretty much guaranteed, even Yoda's, because they all die in the original trilogy. However, this wasn't the initial plan for, like a certain format within the Star Wars universe, to just have the next generation and then the legacy characters getting killed off one by one. So looking at episode 9, I think that some of them should at least survive. Absolutely, I think that Leia should survive, and at least Lando Calrissian. I don't know how you guys would feel if Lando Calrissian got killed off in episode 9, or even Leia for that matter. Me personally, I think that at the very least, these two characters need to live on and need to do their own thing that could very well be expanded upon. Quite honestly, they could use this as source material for future books and comic books. The possibilities are endless, so for Disney and Lucasfilm on their end, I think it's smarter to keep those two characters alive. But there's a little gut feeling in me that tells me that one of these characters will be killed off. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but let me know what you guys think about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.